What's up, y'all? This is Stevie B coming to you with my initial thoughts on the Celtics roster going into the end of the season and into the playoffs. Because the fact is, the Celtics have a deep team, but each player is seated in what their role is. And not a lot of people understand that. So I'm going to break down just a few specifics, as well as the upcoming role of Jaylen Brown. Now, everyone knows Isaiah Thomas's role at the point. What a lot of people misconstrue is that the point is switched between Isaiah Thomas and Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley being one of the best on ball defenders in the league, if not the best, um, as well as a sharpshooter, which he's turned himself into. Then you have the three position and Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder being one of the best three-men defenders in the league, as well as a very tough guy, a confident shooter, and a man who has the ability to get himself to the basket, but plays well within the system. Then you go ahead to the four, and you have Al Horford. Al Horford is an excellent passer, a staple at the middle of that offense and defense in a way that we haven't had since Kevin Garnett. All right. Also, being able to shoot the three, but not necessarily looking for it. It floats within the system. And Amir Johnson being a center who is long enough to and tall enough and strong enough to play well defensively and make his rotations. However, I do question whether I want Olynyk or Amir on the court. Kelly Olynyk being the backup, being the better shooter and offensive player, and Amir being the better defensive player. Which rolls better for them? They have two legit center guys in terms of size and height and length, and one's more defensive oriented, one's more offensive oriented, but they're both athletic and they both hustle and make attempts within the system to play defense. Now, when you consider the backup positions and guys like it's the backup positions that people really have to pay attention to with the Celtics. That starting lineup defensively can contend and offensively front anybody. And they're all experienced in terms of half court offense, which the playoffs tend to become from a defensive and an offensive standpoint, as well as being able to move the ball and up and down the court in a fast-paced offense, meaning getting fast break points. So what we have to then look at is the backups and guys like Marcus Smart, who we all know is no fear, defensive monster, and can guard to the three position as well. Terry Rozier, who came into the league with the same sort of almost as highly touted a defensive guard as Avery Bradley, but a better shooter, a confident shooter. And he's shown that. Gerald Green, we got back a seasoned vet that we had drafted and comes back confident, strong, and a menace is all I'm saying. I define Gerald Green as the menace. He's going to go after it both ends, but he's athletically a monster. And I love his game. And he knows his role. Jaylen Brown has gotten stronger and more confident as the season goes on. And what a lot of people may not know is that boy is the future. That man is the future, I'm telling you. He has a game that reminds me of Paul Pierce's when he got into the league. He's longer, but his the way he plays the game is dribble. I mean, his handle isn't necessarily all the way there, but he's a confident shooter. And he loves to come in and play hard, play D, take his spots, move throughout the offense. Jonas Jerebko is a veteran and probably one of the most underrated aspects of this team off the bench. He's been solid as well. I mean, the fact is, he just adds to what I'm saying in terms of the Celtics having a rotation of guys that fit every single position they have that can offensively and most importantly defensively hold their own. And that means hold within the system. That means these guys are checking together, working together, talking together. And then when you move that throughout the offensive system, each of these guys is not afraid to take the shot, can drive, can pass, and is looking to for the best possible um, situation or the best possible pass, the best possible shot. They're not looking to be the guys that the Celtics have in place. And although those guys may be Isaiah Thomas, obviously to most people, what people don't see is Avery Bradley. What people don't see is Al Horford. These guys, the Celtics have three, maybe four guys. If you at different times, they have three, maybe four guys who are allowed to go get their own shot. But an automatic three, and what you don't understand is Avery Bradley has that ability. It's not that he's gonna do what Isaiah Thomas will do. He'll go get his own shot in a different way, whether it's off a pick, whether it's off the dribble, whether it's creating a shot for another person. His veteran savvy and his sharp shooter ability that he's basically honed every year for the first 3-4 years of his career. He kept getting better and better and better until he turned himself into a sharp the quintessential shooting guard, a man who was a sharpshooter and who could already defend with the best of them. The Celtics are defensively driven first from their best positions. And a lot of people say Isaiah Thomas is the flaw, but Isaiah Thomas's flaw ultimately is something he's worked on. Something he's worked on in being able to get. This dude is getting into the lane with nobody's, contest. And it's not just that he's doing it out of the half court, and he's being a point guard first, as well as rotating and allowing a guy like Avery Bradley, who he was injured for a specific time, and it was hard to see, obviously what that would look like, and with a guy like Marcus Smart who can run the offense, that gives Isaiah Thomas a chance to play off the ball, play in rotation, and basically play decoy. I mean, as well as get the ball back in his hand. And he's made himself a better passing threat throughout the season. And I really respect what their game is as a team. I really think that they need to continue to get better each game in terms of defining themselves defensively, but I think they're more or less solidifying what's going to happen going into the playoffs. Maybe practice more of their half court sets, but that really is when you solidify whether or not that's really about whether you want this number one seed or not, because it's really in the Celtics' hands. So I'll have more information coming up, and you know what? I'm really looking forward to the playoffs and looking forward to analyzing a lot of other teams, whether it be the Milwaukee Bucks, the Toronto Raptors, the Pacers, who the Celtics would play if everything ended today. All these teams who have strong players. I'll speak towards who I feel is deeper than others, who I feel has strong players like Toronto, but may not have the depth that that maybe a Milwaukee, or even when you look at a team like the Pacers, they have more depth than people give them credit for. But we'll talk about those things to come. Stevie B signing out. Celtics moving in to number one? Question mark. We'll talk about that.